Yeah, that's Matteo Mancuso. I'm talking to him today. He might be the best guitar player in the world. I didn't tell him that to his face. I'm not gonna tell him that his guitar playing is like Django Reinhardt mixed with Alan Holdsworth mixed with Guthrie Govan. I'm not gonna say that. You know, guitar playing like this. Or guitar playing like this. This guy's got a lot of tricks in his bag. Tricks I've never seen before. But so much more than that, I can't emphasize enough. His musicianship is uncanny. Tried to contain myself, but I think this kid is really special. And I don't say kid as in like unwise, because he's wise beyond his years, and really everything about this dude is great. So I really can't wait to introduce you, if you haven't met him already, Matteo Mancuso. All your first videos were made in the room you're in now?
Yeah. For the latest videos, I usually use in my father's studio. He has also a home studio on another house, but I usually live here, so most of the videos are from this room. And I apologize in advance for my English, but I will try my best to communicate in the best way, but sometimes I screw up.
You know, I've been making YouTube videos since 2016. One of the first videos I made, I was starting to get a lot of people following my channel, and a lot of them were international. By far the most popular comment, this comment that I always saw was, "Hey, sorry for my bad English or my poor English, but," and then they would say something perfectly in English. And it's just so funny. It's like a very humble thing to say, but I understand you completely, so I can only speak one. I can speak English kind of well.
You know, for us, especially Italians and French people, the English level is not very good. Even in Spain sometimes, but the German ones are the best in speaking English. I don't know why, but the Germans are always the best in speaking English.
Ah, shout out to German people. Yeah. Good job. So how have you all of a sudden burst into the world of all of us guitar players who've been sitting around? It just seems like overnight, all of a sudden you're here. And one of my favorite things to say is it doesn't happen overnight until it does. But can you explain your sort of recent notoriety? Because, you know, a lot of people really respect what you do, including myself, and how you handling all that praise and good stuff coming your way.
Yeah, I think it started during the pandemic, first of all, because during the pandemic I was stuck at home and I had much more time to make videos and all of that. And that was the moment when, you know, Steve Vai and Joe Bonamassa also talked about me, and it felt unreal, of course. You feel, at least for me, you feel really good, of course, but at the same time you feel more motivated. And sometimes I feel anxious because a lot of people are telling you, "Wow, man, you're so good. Steve Vai is talking about you. Bonamassa is talking about you. All these incredible players." And I feel the need to give 100%. You know, you feel the need to practice more. And I remember the day when I first saw the video of Steve Vai talking about me, and I just took the guitar and I practiced like 8 hours that day, just because nice. Steve Vai was talking about me.
I recently saw a video of Matteo Mancuso is his name, and I was pretty stunned. I mean, the evolution of the guitar is firmly secure in the hands of people like him.
Yeah, what is it about that guy, Steve Vai, that motivates you to know other? He's a good dude, isn't he?
Wow. Yeah. Wow, he's an incredible player, and the way he feels about music, the way he speaks also about music, you can feel that he's a very profound human being, you know? You kind of, when you speak to him, you kind of know that he has a wide spectrum of how to look at music. You know, he's not only a guitar player; he's a musician, 100%. Yeah.
How old are you? 26?
I'm 26. I will turn 27 in November. Yeah.
You seem to have some wisdom about you. Not that I have a claim to know what that looks like, but you seem like you have some of that profound attitude that you mentioned about Steve Vai. Where'd you find that? I know you work a lot with your dad, musically. Is that some inspiration for you?
I feel incredibly lucky to have my dad at home, because it was basically my first teacher. I started with him. I started when I was 10 years old. And the thing about my dad is that I never felt the need to, that I have to study to become better. It was always like an hobby for me. It didn't really felt like an obligation or something you have to do to get better. Like guitar for me was always, especially at the start, was always like fun and playing with my dad since the start,
So your dad wasn't shoving a guitar in your face saying, play the major scale, play it 3 octaves, now 4 octaves.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, you need to know all the chords, you need to know all the melodic minor modes, that wasn't like that. It was like more play what you feel, but at the same time listen to that guy, listen to the other guy. So more than a teacher, it was like more a listening guide to me rather than a pure teacher,
Right.
And of course, I studied also classical guitar. I studied at the conservatory. I studied jazz guitar. So I had like a lot of teachers to borrow things, and I was really lucky because of that.
We're gonna go into guitar nerd world now. We're not gonna do the final ultimate lesson about guitar and your philosophy at the end. We're gonna do it right here. So what is a piece of advice that any guitar player can take, no matter what genre they play or what level they're at? What would be one piece of advice you would give a guitar player who wants to improve?
I think one advice that really helped me a lot is practice what excites you the most about the instrument. That would be a really good advice, because right now we are on the social media era where you listen to a lot of different players on Instagram and they are all extremely good, and you are like, okay, I want to learn that, I want to also learn that, I want to learn this and this. Sometimes I think you just have to be you and your guitar without internet and anything, and just trying to find your inner self, and that would be a really good advice, because when you study like that, you really find what excites you the most about music. So it's not about always listening players. It's sometimes about listening what you have in your head, and turn off everything around you and listen to your inner music, I suppose.
Yeah, amazing advice, man. For sure. That reminds me, I can't remember who said it, but music is about the listener, and the first listener is yourself. So you have to, take
maybe
that.
Wynton Marsalis says something like that, the trumpet player.
Yes, that's who said it.
Yeah, music is always for the listener, but the first listener is the player. Yeah.
There you go. Your new album, The Journey. What song do you want to talk about first on this? Because I could go in any direction.
Drop D is the most banal name of the world, but that was because when I read the chart of the song, I read Drop D and I remember that I have to tune my guitar. So we ended up calling Drop D. Yeah.
Drop D is a very practical name, and I know what I'm about to get. Some Drop D riffage. Let's start with Drop D. I think it's the best song on the album. It also happens to be the first single, I think, that you put out, like the first video. What made you choose this song out of all the great songs? It's hard to pick one to kind of debut, right? So what made it Drop D the choice?
I think because from my perspective, the journey, it was more like a chronological order of my first influence, So Drop D was a good place to start because it's kind of a tribute to my first influences. So I'm a big fan of the 70s rock band like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and I started with Jimi Hendrix actually. So
we both
Drop
have a
D-
Jimi Hendrix behind you too.
Yeah, I have it. So yeah, Drop D was kind of a tribute to my first rock influences with a little bit of prog. You know, I'm also a big fan of Rush, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Yes, and Dream Theater, of course. John Petrucci is one of my favorites. And yeah, it's all mixed into one song, and it's of course the rock and roll song of the album.
It's really incredible how there's only a few guitar players that I've heard that can do the kind of speed runs that you do in a way that is melodic, and that's such a cliche, like playing fast and melodic. Oh my God, I'm Steve Lukather.
I think it's a matter of balance. You can achieve both the technical features and the feeling features. For example, all the solos I recorded for the album, I really put a lot of effort into, of course, the vocabulary, the tone, all of that, but especially you need to tell a story with your solo.
Yeah.
So I always try to find this kind of balance in the composition. And also the solo will be, the solo needs to serve the song. Samba Party, for example, reminds me a little bit of Greg Howe, sort of fusion-like
Greg Howe,
approach. Drop D is like straight Zakk Wylde sometimes. The perfect guitarist for the song, you think about maybe, okay, so this kind of Richie Blackmore approach will be better for this song. Mm-hmm. Maybe on the other song will be better like Eric Johnson or something. And I picture myself playing like them, and they try to emulate this kind of thinking. So of course I will never be like Eric Johnson or Richie Blackmore, but I can be inspired from their sound and be creative in that kind of way.
Obviously, we're going to talk about your finger technique, the way you pick, but your tone is way less abrasive than most guitar players who would be attempting the sort of tempos that you get in rhythms. So when you get to some sort of crescendo and then come into the melodic sentiment, for example, that crescendo is sort of like a massage. Honestly, like naked tone compared to a lot of what I'm used to in this same kind of context, which is a testament to your approach. You ever use a guitar pick? Has it ever happened?
I'm not good at it. I mean, I don't have the muscular memory, so I never actually learned how to pick properly.
Okay.
So yeah, because I started with fingers, I started since I was 10 like that. I have this plastic thing on the pickups, and this is needed for the thumb, so I can hold my thumb here and I play like that.
Cool.
And then of course I play like this for the more classical type of playing. Always seeing my father playing classical, and I was thinking, okay, I can play the electric also like that, so it's not an issue. And later on, of course, I discovered the pick, but I was too used to that technique, so I never changed. Also because I'm a little bit lazy, so I always like to get the most comfortable way of playing and just playing like that. And also the tone affect the way I'm playing, of course. I have a slightly darker tone if you compare it to with the pick, of course. Mm-hmm. And that's why I use nails. I have nails on all my right hand. But of course, if you don't have nails, the sound will be too dark and muddy. So I think you need nails in order to play electric guitar with fingers, because you have a slightly more defined attack.
Yeah.
So in my way of playing, I first of all started with this kind of bass technique, and it affects a lot your tone, of course. And later on, I discovered this position that is more like the classical guitar position, and it lets you do a lot of different stuff, like more arpeggio-based licks, like the Frank Gambale kind of sweep picking. So on the last phase of my guitar playing, I was playing a lot more like that rather than the bass technique. But it's a mix of both, actually, and you can achieve like different tones, depends on the
position.
end. Yeah, I mainly have two positions basically: the bass technique and the classical technique. Yeah.
And alternate picking runs can fluctuate between 2-finger, 3-finger. Do you ever do 4-finger alternate pick, 4-note per string alternate picking?
No, I actually never use my pinky.
Okay.
It's too small.
There's a new challenge for you.
I use the string, medium, and index in this order.
Yeah.
In order to get like the 3-note per string, like Paul Gilbert, Malmsteen kind of runs. Most of the time I use also my thumb. It depends on the line.
I could be ignorant on this, but it reminds me of flamenco guitar playing, and it also reminds me of bass playing. It's like you got this hybrid style, and I was like really doing some homework to try and find guitar players who have this technique similar to you. And it's not that it's a brand new technique, but you are packaging it like multiple different styles and techniques into one Matteo. So that's sweet, dude. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I also think, nobody invents anything. I mean, it's kind of when you see a new player playing like in a different way, I don't think it's always a new thing. It's sometimes, and most of the time, it's like a good mix of like classical and classical guitar elements, electric guitar elements, bass. So I always say that I didn't invent this technique. I just mixed a lot of stuff that I discovered through classical music and other stuff.
Humble of you to say. I think that whether or not you invented a technique, you're really pioneering a sound and exciting a generation of guitar players, and that's like incredibly important. So I hope you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what else you're gonna do, man.
Next year we are planning to do an American tour with my trio. I don't know. I still don't know exactly when, but we are planning to do some dates in the U.S. Yeah.
Thank you so much, dude. Like it's a true honor to meet you, and I'm really a big fan of yours. So keep doing your thing.
Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, my brother. Talk soon.